Phoenix here. So a few weeks ago, I made the announcement that I wanted and I intended to attend the trial for Brian Koberger in Boise, Idaho in August of 2025. There were some discrepancies that I want to talk about real quick, and there were some truths hidden in there about this documentary that just released on July the 3rd. And I want to go through those. So make sure that you're following me, because what I said at the beginning of this video is very important. Okay? So the Peacock documentary was released July the 3rd. Brian Koberger took his plea deal on July 2nd. That was pretty quick to release this, don't you think? Now, in the beginning, they did show the Light Up season 2022 in Moscow. So obviously, they set the tone that this was the holiday season. In fact, they did have their parade on November 1st. Facts. Now, they do talk a lot about the DNA on the knife sheath button snap on the inside. However, why did they never take DNA from the actual leather sheath part? Because according to the experts, even leather can potentially stay on the sheath for up to a year. Why didn't they ever talk about that? Did they ever test the knife sheath for DNA? Even though it's porous, it still stays up to there. Per the experts, I'm just saying. That's one thing that always crossed my mind. Now, they did talk about Koberger's eye issues, the white snow. So, obviously, it affects night driving in the dark, things like that. How could he have done this in the dark? I don't think he did. But let's move on. Now, this is really important, so listen to the next part. I'll get back to her.
From what we know, there was no DNA or blood in his car, in his apartment, or at his parents' house, connecting Brian Koberger with these four individuals.
So this is totally 100% interesting. He had no connection, no DNA. The prosecutor even said on his plea hearing, we all know that, it's up on my YT, that he was not associated. There was no actual touch, stuff like that. But here's what I find interesting. This plea deal took place on July 2nd. And then this documentary was released July 3rd. But let's listen to what this one social media journalist, investigator says. Watch.
Killing 4 University of Idaho students. Brian Koberger's trial is set for August of 2025.
Listen to this.
It's going to be one of the most closely watched trials that we've had.
Cases like the Koberger case get incredible amounts of media attention.
The trial has been moved to Boise, Idaho.
Brian Koberger's attorneys argued that they needed to change the venue
Yes.
because there would be such a mob mentality
But listen.
surrounding the trial in Moscow that he wouldn't be able to get a fair trial.
Being a student who was in Moscow,
This is really important. Pay close attention to the next.
Do you understand?
Yes.
When I heard him speak, it was just a reminder that he is a young guy. He sounded like he could have been any other kid on campus to me. If he did do this, a murderer is just, they look like an average person. You don't know what they're capable of.
Here it comes.
Going to cover the trial. I intended to be there every single day.
I intended? This came out on July 3rd.
To find out if there is any connection between the victims and Brian Koberger, and I'm curious to see what the roommates have to say. I think the question everyone's going to be looking to get answered is, what was the motivation?
So what was the motivation for them to release this the day after he pled guilty, and someone say they intended? Wasn't this production already done ahead of time? Now I find that odd, because I was planning on attending before he took a plea. Now after, I intended. Now maybe I'm just looking into a little bit more deeper. But if you question the questioner, then join me tonight live on the YT.